Welcome in, everybody, to Betting Pros. It's time to place your bets. It's me, Joey P, Joe Pisapia, and this is BP NFL. It's time to look ahead for Week 17 in the NFL. Week 16, still one game left. Week 17, you get a little bit every single day. Just like the Christmas cookies you're eating. Every single day, you're having another cookie. That's what we've got for NFL. So we've got Wednesday games, we got Thursday games. You want Saturday games, we got them too. Oh yeah, it's some Sunday and Monday. So Bogman and I are going to do a little deep dive Christmas special. So make sure you hang out there. But it's all about the first take, the hot look at everything here. And a lot of guys were proving stuff. Jared Goff proved that he could play outside. We had James Cook prove that he could hit that over, which he did. Ka-ching. That was good. The Carolina Panthers upset special. All these good things, but Trey McBride still can't get a touchdown, Andrew Erickson. What does this poor man have to do?
Oh my God. I don't know. He's probably going to have to stop me betting on him to score touchdowns, number one. And then he'll finally, because that's just what's going to happen, right? Even though I went back to it back-to-back weeks thinking I was a week too early. And now clearly this week I can't do it. And then, of course, this week against the Rams in a game that, theoretically should be higher scoring. Of course, he's going to find the end zone. It's on prime time on Saturday night. Everybody's going to be watching. And of course, Trey McBride is going to finally catch a touchdown. And nobody is going to be on it. So.
There you go. And nobody's going to be on it. All right. If you want a chance to win a signed Lawrence Taylor jersey, well, we've got an opportunity for you right here. Thanks to our good friends at pristineauction.com. All you need to go is do bettingpros.com/contest, complete the form, and either download the Betting Pros app, leave a review of the Betting Pros podcast, or subscribe to our social media channels at Betting Pros on X, on TikTok, and at Betting Pros NFL on the Instagram. The more actions you complete, the more entries you receive, and we'll be announcing the winner right here on the channel. So make sure you turn on those notifications so you know if you are the big winner of the LT jersey here for the holiday season. And of course, you'll never miss an episode too. So ring the bell till it goes ding, subscribe to the channel here at Betting Pros, and good luck to all of you from Pristine Auction to winning that LT jersey when football was good in New York. Yeah, that was a thing once upon a time. All right, let's get after it. Let's start here. Week 17, Kansas City Chiefs 14-1. Unbelievable. They still find games and ways to win. Pittsburgh also, by the way, just want to say for the record, Lamar Jackson, also something to prove, went out there and proved it. Very happy for Lamar. Terrell and I got into a little bit of a tiff about it earlier last week, and Lamar Jackson got it done. So here we are, Pittsburgh Steelers. We don't know about Pickens at this juncture. So the Kansas City Chiefs are 2.5-point favorites on the road. That seems about right to me. 43.5 is the early line number here. The total, and plus 120 on the money line. Look, this all feels good to me. The value is betting Pittsburgh at home, but I don't necessarily want to do that. The Chiefs keep finding ways to win games, and without George Pickens, this offense just doesn't run. Sorry, they have the same kind of problems running up against the defense, just the way they ran up against the brick wall of the Baltimore Ravens. I'm just going to take the Chiefs in the 2.5 and just kind of hope for the best on Christmas. Your thoughts?
I think that's probably the move to make. I mean, the Steelers have been tough to back with their offense kind of stalled out the last couple of weeks. If anything, I mean, both teams are coming off overs, which usually really hasn't been the MOs of both of these respective teams. So I think that maybe starting off Christmas with a bit of a snooze fest under 42.5 points. The game is being played in Pittsburgh. Obviously, Mahomes' ankle thing's not an issue whatsoever. It was nice for them to get some offensive pieces back. You saw Marquise Brown come back and kind of help this offense move the ball, but it's still not an offense that generates explosive plays. And if neither team is generating explosive plays without Pickens, then how is this game going to go over a 42.5 point total? Maybe more of a defensive struggle. So I kind of like the under here. But yeah, Chiefs ultimately are going to win. But there's always something about like trying to fade against the Tomlin. Again, now he's a home underdog, right? Which has got to be another smash spot for him, historically speaking. So that's just something to keep in mind with betting on the Chiefs.
Look, I mean, it's about Pickens. With Pickens, they're a top 5 offense. Without Pickens, they're not. Like, they just can't. The style of football that Russell Wilson is capable of playing right now is that throw it up, go get it, and there's nobody else who can really do that. Sorry. And that game could have even been worse, at times. There were some times where the Pittsburgh Steelers lucked out a little bit, I thought, on that game on Saturday. Baltimore, the other team that played Saturday this past weekend, along with the Houston Texans. No Tank Dell for this one. Brutal injury there for Tank Dell, so wishing him all the best there. Plus 3.5 at home. Houston Texans are the underdog against the Ravens. That feels right. 47 is the number. Plus 170 on the Houston Texans. Baltimore by minus 3.5. I think Baltimore's starting to feel itself a little bit. The Houston Texans have been a suspect team all year. I'll go ahead once again, and I'll be with the Baltimore Ravens side of this one. I think they win this one by a touchdown, to be honest. I don't think the Texans are that good. They're down another weapon. Baltimore, I think, can stop that run, which makes them a lot easier to attack. What do you think?
I agree. I think that the Ravens kind of roll here. We've seen the Texans when they have to go up in their weight class in terms of facing some of these top tier teams, and they just
Yeah.
don't show up. And I don't care that this game's being played in Houston. If anything, we get to see a Lamar Jackson air show in the dome, right? Like that's something that I think could be a lot of fun. And without, I mean, finally, it looked like Tank Dell and Stroud were finally starting to connect. And of course, the injury is obviously devastating. So they're down so many weapons. I mean, if Dalton Schultz is the guy that's commanding like double digit targets for your offense, then you're not going to put up a lot of points. So concerned for the Texans offense here. So I like the Ravens as well.
Seattle and Chicago on Thursday night. So those are your Wednesday, Christmas Day games. Then Thursday night, you get Chicago and Seattle. Chicago at home, 3.5 point underdogs. 42 is the number, plus 145 on the money line. Honestly, don't have a great feeling about this one. This game just complete hard pass for me. I have no feeling about it. Seattle is the better team. Should they win? Yes. Chicago looks terrible. They look like a team that's falling apart, but I don't know. This is another one that has a trap. Seattle needs this game more. I just don't know if they can pull out a victory. So maybe we turn to the total here.
Yeah, I mean, usually Thursday night unders with teams that if you don't feel confident about either team, usually the move is, hey, just bet against both teams. And how you do that is by betting in the under. I mean, the Bears defense has been absolutely atrocious basically since they moved on from Eberflus. Seattle's offense is really up and down. Their defense has been better out of their bye week overall, but has still had signs of struggles here and there. I don't want to lay any points with Seattle. So if I had to pick against, I would just take the Bears playing at home with, again, a field goal plus. But I think the under is probably my favorite play.
The good news for the Patriots is they have a quarterback. Drake May is good.
Yes.
I
So
am
good.
very pleased with Drake May yesterday. I'm very pleased they lost, but I'm still pleased with Drake
Well,
May. Bad news is they're going to get the
he,
Chargers. Chargers.
he
What's that?
knows that they need to lose these games. That's why he throws interceptions every single week.
Yeah, but he also makes some great
Oh,
throws. I mean, that throw to Booty was great.
it's awesome.
Yeah, it's been a while since we saw a quarterback on the Patriots make a throw like that. The bad news for the Patriots, unfortunately, they get the Chargers coming into New England this weekend. 5.5 is the number here, minus 5.5 on the Charger side. 42 is the total, plus 190. It's a low number already. Andrew, do you think this one goes to the over under? You think there's value here with the 5.5? What are your thoughts?
I like the total. I keep liking betting Patriots overs. I know last week against the Bills, it was a very weird game in terms of the Patriots jumping out to a big lead, and you're thinking, okay, like this game should go over the total. The Patriots covered pretty easily, but the Bills offense kind of stalled out. They just didn't look their greatest. But the Chargers coming off some extra rest off a Thursday night game, I don't see why the Patriots defense is going to be able to really stop them in any capacity. I know the Chargers don't have the most explosive offense, but X factor, J.K. Dobbins might be coming back for this game. So he's eligible to come off
Oh,
injury
there you go.
reserve. So if you fantasy manager, you're still kicking around like Dobbins, I'd be starting him this week. And like
I
the
have
Patriots
somebody dropped
defense
him.
is terrible. And Gus Edwards, man,
Terrible.
like enough, enough.
Talked about it last week with James Cook. I mean, just lock it up, baby. They don't tackle. They're not good against the run. And that's where Mayo's in trouble, I think. It's one thing to be a
Well,
3-win team. It's another thing, like, you're a defensive coach and you can't play
it's
defense. I mean,
it's
that's a
some of these like
problem.
mental errors, like the
Yeah.
interception in the end zone, right? Why is he just not kneeling the
Hmm.
ball? And then it becomes now a punt, right? Uh,
Yeah.
and now you're back at the 1 yard
Ridiculous.
line, and
Yeah.
that's a field position battle. Like you're winning in this game. Like you can't afford to make dumb mistakes against a Super Bowl team, and that's what they do.
Yeah. Trying to take that ball out
Like,
was so bad. Ugh.
and then the
I get it. You have these instincts. You catch the ball, you're trying to make a play, but I mean, you have to, as a defensive back, you have to know your situations. And that's the one thing, they miss, the situational football that Bill Belichick coaches and the better coaches in the league coach. Denver at Cincinnati. Cincinnati's showing some signs of life here at the end against some lesser opponents, but still, they are 3-point favorites at home against the Denver Broncos. So the Denver Broncos really had no business trying to win last week, going on the road, short week, all that stuff. But 48.5 is the number, pretty high total here, plus 140 on the Denver Broncos money line. I don't know if I see any early value here. Does anything pop out to you?
I mean, I kind of like the Bengals here. I mean, the Bengals are starting to, again, it might be a little bit
Yeah,
too late
yeah,
at this
late.
point. Yeah, they're going to be kicking themselves. Like, I mean, what they have a 7% chance of making the playoffs. It's still not impossible. There are some things that still need to go their way, but beating the Broncos will surely help their odds because the Broncos are also kind of in the hunt for one of those last playoff spots. So, look, the Bengals are finally starting to be the team that we all thought, at least I thought preseason. Like they're just destroying all these bad teams. I don't want to say Denver's a bad team, but Bo Nix has his ups and downs. Like he was not looking to throw the ball downfield whatsoever against the Los Angeles Chargers. I mean, it was like check down after check down, two running backs, and that's not going to work. against this Bengals offense. And the Broncos defense has kind of showed some holes the last couple of weeks, giving up a lot of chunk plays down the field. And we know Joe Burrow can absolutely eviscerate any type of secondary, regardless of what defense it is. So um, I like the Bengals here. They're starting to cook, but again, they're going to be kicking themselves looking back at their schedule and all the games that they lost
Oh
to
yeah.
these just terrible week 1 against the Patriots, right? Like they win that game, like they are in
Yeah.
the driver's seat to make the playoffs, and
Yeah.
they know that. And it's interesting too because week 18, right? The Chiefs will play the Broncos. The Chiefs have every incentive to lose that game to make sure the Bengals don't make the playoffs, and the Broncos make the playoffs instead. So, and that's the reality of it. Like even if they start their back as the Chiefs win on Christmas, the Chiefs are gonna be like, there's no way we're helping the Bengals get into the playoffs. Like we'll sit all of our guys. We'll lose on
Yeah.
purpose. So unfortunately, it's going to be the Bengals are going to be looking from the outside at the playoffs this year.
All right. Arizona probably looking on the outside as well. Told you they were no good. Plus 5.5 going into Los Angeles to play the Rams. The Rams came out with a victory. It was very cold. They did what they needed to do. Was it pretty? No, but they came out with a victory. 5.5 is a pretty stout number here for an in-division game. 49 is the total, plus 200 for the Arizona Cardinals on the money line, which I'm not interested in. The question is, are you comfortable with the 5.5, Andrew?
Not with the Rams, no. I just think that this is very recency bias with the line where even me, everyone hates the Arizona Cardinals right now. Like everybody's like,
Yeah.
oh my God, screw
Everybody but me. They did exactly what I asked them
this
to do, which is
team.
lose.
Because they blew it, and they had one of the easiest schedules after their bye week, and losing both games to Seahawks, just dropping games that they should have won. It's really I'm not really sure what happened with this team, but Kyler Murray's not been playing up to stuff. But again, this is where you bide value, I think, and 5.5 points for a divisional game. Again, these teams already faced this year, and the Cardinals killed the Rams, like back in week 2. Like they destroyed them. So I still don't think the Rams defense is this elite unit in any way, shape, or form. Yes, they can generate a pass rush, but in the dome, I think that 5.5 points is probably too much for the Rams.
All right, so those are your Saturday games. On to Sunday. You with me, everybody? Everybody's still alive? All right, here we go. Football every day. The New York Jets are going to go to Buffalo. Buffalo's 9.5-point favorites. I'm surprised it's only that much. 47.5 is the total. You have plus 400 on the Jets side. I would bet this now because I think it gets to 11 or 12 by the time we get to Sunday. Your thoughts?
I mean, is this too many points? I don't know. I mean, they didn't cover against the Patriots.
I don't think so.
2 touchdowns. They didn't do it. They didn't get the job done against the Pats. A division game. It's like the same setup, isn't it? Unless you think the Jets are significantly. I mean, obviously they're a little bit better by the public than the Patriots are. Or did they get it out of the way? Like, hey, we had our
I don't know if
letdown
it's better
spot.
or worse. I think Buffalo has these letdowns.
No, it's
like
fair.
they
got it out of the way.
They get all these highs, and I think the worst thing that could happen to the Jets is the Patriots pushing the Bills last week, where it's like, you got to take everything seriously there. I just don't have any faith that the Jets can go on the road and win in Buffalo. Like I think they're.
Well, I mean, not win. They're not going to win, but like,
I don't think they can
points?
get covered. I think this is a blowout. I think it's a blowout spot here again. I just do. That's where I'm at.
I mean, this is probably a game I'm just not going to touch because, like, I'm not going to waste
Fair.
real human dollars on the New York Jets.
All right. Well, if I can't interest you in that one, how about Jacksonville and Tennessee? Huh? This one's a barn burner. Pretty much a pick 'em here. You get -1 on Jacksonville in some markets, +1 on Tennessee. 39.5 is the total. 102 on the money line, -102 for Tennessee, -115 for the Jacksonville Jaguars. So again, you're down to the secondary quarterbacks at this point. You're down to teams that have had some troubles. Mason Rudolph, for all of his nonsense, we got both touchdown calls, as you pointed out too. Everybody I picked to score touchdowns, they scored. So Mason Rudolph is not going to be pretty, but it's a good matchup theoretically. The Tennessee defense is kind of what really just wasn't good last week against the Colts. So that's where I'm struggling is like, what's going on with the defense now? Is that falling apart at the end?
I mean, a lot of it's been against some of the better offenses that they have struggled against, and I think they're kind of running out of gas. I mean, they got run over basically by Jonathan Taylor. They've been giving up more in the running game, but like, how afraid are we of like Tank Bigsby, Travis Etienne? That running game has been really up and down all season. Honestly, I really don't have a play on this game. I'm interested to see if these lines flip in any capacity, right? You said that the Jaguars, because they're playing at home, they're 1-point favorite? Yeah, essentially a pick 'em.
Yeah, essentially it's a pick 'em.
Yeah, so I'm interested to see if the lines move in favor of Tennessee as teams is like, well, Mason Rudolph, like he's not that bad. Like he's better than Mac Jones. Like let's play at the Titans. So I mean, right now it's like, I guess when it comes to the quarterback play, like who are you more concerned about turning the ball over, right?
Oh,
Probably.
God.
I mean, I know Rudolph threw
All
3
of
picks
them?
last week, but they were getting just, I mean, they were getting killed, right? So they had to like throw the ball. They did show some grit, like coming back, and I mean, they were getting blown out, and they somehow like you look up, you're like, wait, it's a 1-score game. Like what happened? Ah, man, I don't know.
If anything, I think I might take the over on this because the Mason Rudolph showed me he can go out there and make some big plays. And, I think the Jaguars can at least throw up,
Stop.
a couple
They
of
can throw up.
touchdowns in this
That's
game.
it.
No, they can throw up a couple touchdowns in this game without problem. It's not a fun game. We're spending way too much time on it. Let's get to a fun game. Green Bay, Minnesota. Here we go. Now this is fun. So Minnesota, I feel like they're just not getting the respect they deserve. They're 13-2. They're chasing that 1 seed. Green Bay is playing very good football. We'll see what they do tonight. They should beat the hell out of the Saints. Minnesota -1.5 right now at home. 48.5 is the total, plus 105 on the money line for the Green Bay Packers. I'm on the Minnesota side of this game. I think that defense is really good. They just got another piece back healthy too. They get after the quarterback. If you get after Love, I think that's a positive. And Sam Darnold has really just, shown you in big spots. This was a road game this weekend and played very well in a tougher spot. Let's be honest. It was rain on the road in Seattle, all that stuff. You know what? Didn't phase him. Showed up there, came away with a W. I'm going with Minnesota at home here. Where are you going?
I like Green Bay, and I wanted to pose you the question: neutral field, who do you like more, Green Bay or Minnesota? Who'd you pick?
Very tricky. Very tricky. I think the Minnesota pass rush is where I favor. Like I try to look for what do I like the most out of all of these teams, right? And I feel like between the Minnesota pass rush and the best player on the field is Justin Jefferson, I think those are the guys that win you games at the end of the day. And your defense and your big playmaker guy. I look at the other side, and yes, they're running the football very well in Green Bay, and yes, the defense should put up a good game today against the horrible New Orleans Saints, but I don't want to take too much out of that. So if anything, this might be one that you set the custom line alerts to on BettingPros and see where this one goes, because if Green Bay comes out like gangbusters and, pummels the Saints, this line could move a little bit in 24 hours.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel about it. I mean, the Saints Packers game could be like a disaster for New Orleans. I mean, they're having quarterback meetings in the freezer to try to simulate what the temperatures will be like in Green Bay. It's like, guys, like maybe we're taking this a little bit too seriously. We got to figure out what the plays are and how to score on offense. So I know I like Green Bay. Again, we talked about them, I think, on the live stream about like a team that I think that has a dark horse to win the Super Bowl. I like some of their long shot odds, and I think that this is a big spot for them where if they can knock off the Minnesota Vikings, it puts them in a better spot when they're looking at seeding to get into the NFC. And again, you look at Green Bay, the only teams they've lost to this year are the Eagles and the Lions. And I believe again, teams with really strong records, that's who they've lost to this season. And I think that they'll get the W here.
Okay. Let's go to Las Vegas and New Orleans. New Orleans 2.5-point favorites at home. I'm not sure why. I mean, I don't know. They know something I don't. 40 is the total. Plus 110 on the Vegas money line. Like, I don't love Vegas, but you know what? New Orleans got nobody left on this team. I know it's on the road. This is another one. It's a lot of dangerous games here in week 17. I think the best value is just to go ahead and take the 2.5 with Vegas here and give yourself a couple outs.
Yeah, I think that this line is probably going to flip, right? With the Raiders.
It's possible.
I mean, why
this might be one of the better early
why
lines
are the Saints
favorite? Grab the 2.5
Why are the Saints favorite?
Because they're home, I guess. I don't know. After they see Spencer Rattler, I think people might.
The best bet is this line's gonna flip, and then you can just cash out and just take the money. Like you can't get broke, can't get broke, break making a profit, right? So if you get on the Raiders now, you can cash out, get your $3 or whatever you get. All
right, let's talk about the Carolina Panthers and the Tampa Buccaneers. One of these teams won this past week. Look, Tampa's playing for everything here. This is a big game. They're 7.5-point favorites, so I think it's too many points. Carolina's been plucky. I'll take the Carolina side in this game all day. It's probably one of the games I feel most strongly about this week. 48.5 is the total. Don't feel as good about that one, and plus 300 on the money line for Carolina for the upset. Don't want to go there yet, but I think the 7.5, Carolina's proven they hang in games and they continue to compete on the road or even at home. Leggett was out last week. Didn't matter. They still found ways to, get guys the football and make plays, and they went to overtime and came out with a victory. Tampa, Carolina. Tampa's got everything on the line. Do they get it done, and do they cover the 7.5?
I don't think they cover. No. I mean, maybe they come away with the win. They should win. They're playing at home, but No, I agree with you. Like at all the lines this week, like this is the one that stuck out to me the most. Like even just if you looked at, you take away what the teams have been doing recently, divisional game, like you have one team that's playing super, super tight. You have one team that, hey, we're just playing, to play spoiler at this point against a divisional rival. And these teams went down to the wire the last time they played. We know Carolina has been playing teams tight every single week. So to see it by more than a touchdown, even after Tampa, I mean, Tampa just lost to Dallas on the road, right? So again, I'm surprised it's just this large, given that Tampa Bay didn't even come off a win last week. So I like Panthers with the points as well.
Next one's really tricky too. The Giants at home, 7.5 point underdogs against the Indianapolis Colts. Yeah, probably. 40.5 is the number, plus 350 on the money line for the New York Giants. It's my confidence level in the Colts and which Anthony Richardson I'm going to get. Theoretically, yes, everybody's terrible against the Giants. The Giants right now have that number one spot as we are talking about it. But do you have enough confidence in the Colts to cover 7.5 on the road against anybody?
I think against the Giants, you have to. I mean, this is the one team that everyone destroys the Giants, right? They're done. It's over for them. I mean, we just saw Michael Penix go in and destroy them playing at home. Yes, I think that this game could, after like the first quarter, you might be like, oh my God, what did I do? Like, what was I thinking?
Yeah, there's definitely some sweat in this one for sure.
Once they get Jonathan Taylor going, we know this run defense is atrocious. And if anything, this should be a good spot for Anthony Richardson for some of these deep moonball passes. Like we talked about last week, like Darnell Mooney, boom. Mooney hit the over on, of course, he hits the over on his receiving yards. He hits a 22-yard catch. His longest reception is a 22.5 yards. So just another bad beat for me on Sunday, week 16. But yeah, this defense is susceptible to deep passes. And that's the one thing Anthony Richardson can do. I mean, last week, he averaged over 11 yards per attempt. He only completed 7 passes, but they still got the job done. And look, if there's any opportunity for this Colts team to like, hey, let's try to get Anthony Richardson some confidence passing the ball. Like this is it. Like this is target practice for him against the New York Giants secondary. So yes, it might feel bad to start the game, but I think the Colts get rolling here and take care of business.
All right, Miami, Cleveland is up next. Cleveland 3-2, Miami coming off a victory. So Miami wins because why? Miami beats teams with bad records. So they'll do that this week. -6 is the number, 40.5 is the total, -250. I'm confident Miami can clear this 6 here with DTR under center for the Browns. Do you agree?
Yeah. I mean, DTR is just not good. Not good.
It's not it. He's just not it. He ain't it. He ain't that dude. Dallas Cowboys 7-8 going to take the Eagles now. The problem with this game is we don't know the status of Jalen Hurts yet. Typically, in concussions, that next week is usually in peril. -8.5 is the total, is the number right now the Eagles are favored by, which is a fair amount. So the question is, do you want to jump on this now, potentially, on the Cowboy side, if Kenny Pickett is your expectation? That's the real number here. That's the question. 42.5 of the total, plus 300 for the Dallas W.
No, because right now it's all just assuming that, Jalen Hurts is going to start, right? So is this line going to move more if Jalen Hurts starts? Like if he's now like starting, like maybe it moves to like 9.5. I mean, the Dallas Cowboys just won a game. This is a divisional game. So I don't know. I don't think I would want to jump on this now. I mean, I think that, look, we've seen with,
but it could shrink if Kenny Pickett's starting. What I'm saying is this could shrink to 6.5.
That is true. But what I think matters to me more is I'm less concerned about the quarterback play with the Eagles covering the spread, because when you look at them, like why have they been so good this year? Because of defense, right? That's really what I care about the most. So I'm less concerned about maybe losing a couple points here if it's Kenny Pickett that ends up being the starter, because ultimately, if the Dallas Cowboys can't score offensively, then it doesn't matter to me as much who the quarterback is for the Philadelphia Eagles. Like, give the ball to Saquon. Kenny Pickett can do that. I mean, Pickett showed enough last week. Like, he's willing to target AJ Brown as much as humanly possible. So that's all.
AJ Brown loves
that's
that.
all we need. So again, I'm not trying to poo-poo Jalen Hurts and his impact as the Eagles quarterback. Obviously, I'd love to have him, but I'm not willing to. I know ultimately for Eagles to cover here, it's going to come down to their defense, and that's not going to change whether who the quarterback is. So I want to kind of wait on this one, and even if Hurts doesn't play.
The Washington Commanders coming off a huge victory for them. They are now 10-5, -5-point favorites against the Atlanta Falcons. Michael Penix played relatively well, was comfortable in the pocket, had some good deep balls there. I would say the playbook was expanded from what I saw too, of what you could do with Michael Penix as opposed to Kirk Cousins at this stage. 46.5 is the total, plus 175. So it's the confidence of Michael Penix indoors at home against the Giants. Does it travel outdoors against the Commanders? That is the question, Andrew Erickson.
Yeah, I was trying to think about this stuff ahead of time because we really felt confident that Penix was going to be able to deliver against the Giants. But like, that's the thing. It was against the Giants at home, like a softball layup spot. This is not nearly like
spot.
that.
Yeah.
This is so I think for me, it's like, yes, we liked Penix last week, and now you got to fade him because we know who the better rookie quarterback is. It's Jaden Daniels playing at home after a massive win. So the Falcons' defense is still terrible. Like, I still don't think that they've had a couple of good matchups, which makes their numbers look a little bit better. But I think Jaden Daniels, Brian Robinson is going to bounce back here. Terry McLaurin. Yeah, I think the Commanders roll here.
I like the over in this game. 46.5 to me. That's where I'm living on this one. Because I think Penix can do some things. And I think, another week of practice with the ones can only do you good. So I'd go to the over on this one, even though it's a relatively high number, 46.5. I think we can clear this one. Last but not least, boy, when they were putting this one on there, Monday night action, everybody thought this was going to be a marquee matchup, right? The 49ers at home taking on the Lions. No, probably not an NFC Championship game preview. It's not going to be it. So the 49ers, they're Dunsky. They're 6-9. Detroit, 13-2, coming off a huge victory. They are only 3.5-point favorites, which I think is kind of odd. 51.5 is the total. Minus 190 for the Detroit Lions, plus 155. I got to be honest with you. I'm kind of shocked here that the Lions are only 3.5-point favorites. So I'm jumping on this one right away.
Yeah, I agree. Again, as a Lions fader of the offense last week, I saw what this offense could do.
5.5.
I saw this offense
way off.
I saw what this offense could do. And I don't think the 49ers defense is going to have much success trying to stop it, even without David Montgomery, even though they're playing on the road again. I mean, I really hope I wasn't a week too early with this road outdoors Jared Goff thing.
Well, outdoors in San Francisco is not outdoors in Chicago was our big thing too. Yeah, it's the cold.
So obviously I was wrong about that, but let's just make sure like there's no
there's no
monsoon in San Francisco this week. Like just double check that before you take it on any overs in this game, because I mean, I get that the total is really high, 51.5, but I would shade towards the over. I mean, they scored 51 points in Chicago last week. Like this team has just so many weapons across the board. And the 49ers right now, they're just hey, like, let's rip it with Brock Purdy. We're down to our like 7th string running back. Let's just throw the ball with Brock Purdy. Purdy looked decent last week with Kittle, Jennings, Deebo Samuel. Deebo Samuel finally scored a touchdown, of course, when he's on everyone's fantasy football benches. So you love to see that.
Yeah. Well, some people asked me, and I was like, play Deebo. There was like, should I play Tebow or this guy? And I'm like, oh, I'm just going to play the better talent. I know both these options are not good right now, but talent eventually wins out most of the time. Especially they get embarrassed when they have bad games and people are talking about them. They know. So we're going to have bigger breakdowns on the Christmas games and Thursday Night Football coming up soon. So make sure you stay tuned for that. Subscribe to the channel and subscribe to Betting Pros wherever you get your podcast. And wherever you listen, make sure you drop a 5-star review. We appreciate that. It doesn't take very long. It's the season of giving. So we appreciate the positive reviews you can leave for the podcast. It does help us out quite a bit, and it's a nice reward if you've been with us for the entire year here as we turn the chapter into 2025 sooner than later, to reward all the people who do such great work here, the analysts, but also more importantly, the people behind the scenes also that you don't see on the show who make everything work. So we appreciate all of our producers as well. That'll do it for us. But the story of the game goes on. For Andrew Erickson, I'm Joey P. Have a great holiday season, everybody. We'll see you after all the football of Week 17 eventually is done.